want to throw light onto someone that's largely forgotten in the world of theatre, and that is Binkie Beaumont. Now, in today's world, we have brilliant producers, managers, creators like Bill Kenwright, Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber, and of course the ever wonderful Cameron Mackintosh. But way back in the 40s, right through to the end of the 50s, early 60s, Binkie Beaumont dominated the theatrical world of Shaftesbury Avenue and partly Broadway too. And from his office, which is now called something different, the Gielgud Theatre, but it used to be called the Globe, it was at the top of that dome where he ruled and looked down upon Shaftesbury Avenue, looking no doubt at the box office, all the people coming in, and exactly how clever he really was. And why is he today largely forgotten? I'll tell you. The thing about Binkie Beaumont was he was dapper, debonair, he liked everybody who had some sort of affluence, and he wasn't very big on charity productions unless they were attended by royalty. Now he liked those because he liked to hobnob with the people that he thought were important. He had a background that was very mysterious because essentially he'd invented himself. That's no mean feat anyway in theatre, because if you want to be taken seriously, you sometimes have to create a background that suits this sort of arena that you're working in. And Binkie was very clever. He worked for H.M. Tennant and of course developed so many wonderful plays, so many successes. But I suppose his biggest find really was looking at someone who we now know to be a true Hollywood and English stroke Welsh superstar, and that was Richard Burton. Binkie was sat in the audience of one of his successful plays where Richard had a small walk-on part, and he noticed that every time Richard came on the stage, the audience were interested, particularly the females. Now, he also gathered the fact that if he could put Richard in something bigger, he may have an even bigger box office success. So not many people realise that while Richard Burton is of course a wonderful and brilliant actor, it took someone else's keen eye, a very clever Binkie Beaumont, to spot the fact that he had that magnetism that draws audiences not just on screen but on stage too. And thanks to Binkie, Richard, as we know, became an international celebrity and actor. While Binkie continued to have great success, he also had, of course, his own enemies. Emil Littler decided that he had too much of a stronghold over the West End, and even tried to get Binkie in front of a parliamentary subcommittee to discuss how come he had so many people wanting to work with him, and of course signing up plays and theatres in abundance, making it very difficult for other budding producers to get a foot in. But as I say, like all empires do crumble, and really Binkie's crumbled around the time of the late 50s, early 60s. Now, he was used to putting on these wonderful drawing room dramas, these plays that everybody liked to come and see. They were very safe and very much of their time. There were the greats, of course, like Noel Coward providing those many hits. But by the time of the early 60s, Binkie's style of production seemed very out of favour. Let's not forget, this was the era of the kitchen sink drama. It was all made up as you went along, ad-lib, a bit like Pinter. And so Binkie was kind of thrown out of sorts. It took him a while, of course, to readjust, but let's not forget that he also had huge successes on Broadway, and he was the man that was instrumental in bringing that mega smash along to the Theatre Royal Drury Lane, My Fair Lady, which angered many simply because he'd already seen the potential years ago and managed to sign it up, making sure he was a multi-millionaire for many years to come. It's sad to say that Binkie Beaumont's career didn't really end in his beloved West End, or indeed in his equally loved Globe Theatre, but it ended here in the heart of Westminster. Binkie was living in a very palatial home in Lord North Street. It's infamous really now, I suppose, as being the home that Harold Wilson, the former Labour Prime Minister, lived in. He didn't like living in number 10 Downing Street flat apparently, and it's just a stone's throw away from Downing Street. Very clever again, of course, of Binkie to be around this particular area, the rich and the wealthy, and they're very much contactable, shall we say. But of course it was also a hub of great parties. Now Binkie loved to have a party, and he invited the people that he wanted to schmooze and, more importantly, work with. So the greats like Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, Noel Coward, Ivor Novello, Terence Rattigan, Vivian Leigh, Sir Laurence Olivier, and of course his last great production, which starred the Hollywood legend Ingrid Bergman. It really was the place to be seen. Now, Binkie died at the very young age of only 64. But my sort of feelings about Binkie are this: he really did set a template into how to put a production together. He knew exactly how to market his own brand, which was even more clever when you think about the lack of social media and all the things that we have today to make sure your production hits. He was a stickler for theatre managers being there on the first night and making sure that they met their patrons and of course looked after them. He made sure he made friends with all the right people, but more importantly he knew that the British public were the secret to making his plays and productions a huge success. So next time you're walking down Shaftesbury Avenue, or indeed you're just looking up some of the theatre greats, tip your hat to the one and only Binkie Beaumont. He really did do a lot for British theatre, and for that we should be very grateful. Now, thank you so much for watching this short film all about the theatre legend Binkie Beaumont. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to like and share. It's quite simple. You share it with your friends and we keep some of this great British theatre history alive. More people should know about what we do here because we are simply good at it. I'm Neil Sean. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.